There is this another thing that I wanted to talk with you all about. It's about asserting value and asserting their mastership in a particular thing. I don't know if I'm being, too much ambiguous. So let's start it. There are some type of people in each of and every hour of our life who once experienced too much value in their lives and too much attention in their lives, and who had fame in their lives, and value, and eventually with time it got decreased, and at the point of time it became negligible. So we all mostly talk about the glory days of someone, a person, or a famous person. But often what happens that we often forget to see that what comes after the glory, what comes after they have become famous. Some people actually stay famous throughout their entire lives, but I think fame is something that is very much transient, and it tends to leave you when it's time to and so today I want to talk about the people and the psychology of the people who were once famous, who experienced immense glory at a particular point of their time and then lost it all. What happens to them? So, have you ever thought about it? Because I did, and I got to a certain, a few conclusions. And so I personally believe that fame is an extremely addictive thing, and once you have gotten the taste of it, it's very difficult for you to leave it. It gets addicted, you get addicted to it, and you want more and more and more of it. And then after experiencing that fame, experiencing that glory, when you tend to you when you truly realize that you have lost it all, first thing is that most people take a lot of time to realize that they are not in that pedestal anymore that they have always considered them to be. And so for the first thing that the person does is that they try their best, that they try their very best to reach that fame again in numerous ways possible. Sometimes people choose the right paths, the things that actually made them famous, or something sometimes they choose not so good parts, like making cringe content or doing something really terrible that gains a lot of attention towards you. And being extremely loud in public spaces because you really want your voice to be heard the way it has always been. And it takes a sharp toll on your mental health. And after you realize that even after all this you are not going to be famous, fame has left you, then people try to assert their masterfulness in every way possible, among all the people that who are close to them or who are near to them. I've seen this, that we often have experienced people who we think they share, always give a lot of gyan. And we are most of us are really annoyed by this, but we even to take this as a subject of mockery. But this is actually a coping mechanism for all those people who have once experienced to to be heard in thousands, to be heard in groups. And sorry, I'm saying a lot, it's a bad habit of mine. So who have earlier experienced being heard in groups and being listened to, when no one is interested in listening to them, they forcefully try to others to listen to them in every single way possible, like in every small sphere in your life or in their life. If they know about something particular, even little, they will try to extend it, they will try to echo that in the highest way possible, in the most mesmerizing way possible, so that they expect that at least the other person would be interested in listening to them, it would be interested in knowing more about them, or would be interested in doing the things that they suggest them to. And this is truly tragic, and it's not about, I think, always about the people who are extremely famous, but about also about the people who are near us, among ourselves, who have once shared really good position in the society or position in the family, and now since they have lost that position, no one really wants to listen to them anymore. And whenever they get a person who actually wants to listen, or who actually have the patience to listen to them, they sit for hours and hours with that person, and they try to give everything of themselves, and in that way assert their you know masterfulness in something that was in the past. And that way, that person always lives in the past, always reflects to the past in every single possible life scenario. And so, if we have come across some of those people, I think we shouldn't be really cruel to them, or we shouldn't be really uh, we shouldn't mock them or find them annoying, because we should understand, we should actually realize that this is their coping mechanism, and this is how they are dealing with the changes in life, the brutal changes in life, by taking their safe reside in the past and their glory days and all those things. And talking is always a thing, I think, that acts as a therapy for not just me, but almost every single person. And if they talk a lot to you, if they made you sit for hours, be respectful to them at least. And if you don't want to listen, just be respectful to them, and if you can, please reciprocate to their conversation, because this would help them millions, you know a million. And yes, that's what I wanted to talk about today. Thank you for listening to me. I'll come back to you again. Until then, take care. Bye bye.